live, Dan.
How you doing, brother?
Good, good, bro. Still on. I've been on vacation. I don't know if I told you about
Nice.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got. I go back
Did you take
next.
2 weeks?
I took 2 weeks. Yeah, and then I got the ending days, like the beginning day, before for my personal. No, not personal. My birthday,
Anniversary?
and then
Oh, birthday.
yeah, then Tuesday is for my anniversary.
Nice.
So
Congratulations on that too.
yeah, we made it.
Yeah.
Can't believe we made it. Uh, I was looking up something that I've been wanting to do, like every show. To, Today, June 14th, we have 144 days until the November 5th election. So we have 144 days until we find out. What do you think, Dan? If this country turns to 100% authoritarian, is that authoritarian?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Authoritarianism, or if Trump gets in there and shit, all hell breaks loose, man. Who the hell knows? But
Um,
we got 144 days.
what do I think's gonna happen
Wow. I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy what's going on. You hear about those Russian ships that are
in
parking?
Cuba?
Yeah,
A new Cuban Missile Crisis?
yeah,
I
and
mean, you got to take into account that the United States is supplying Ukraine with United States weapons that are being used on Russia. We have essentially declared war on Russia.
yeah,
It's a stupid ass thing for us to do, but here we are. We got stupid ass dictators running the country and people cheering them on.
yeah.
Trump's a racist, so I want World War III. I mean, this is where you're going, people. You got missiles, right? You got Russian warships right at your back door right now. If we weren't doing what we were doing with Ukraine, this wouldn't be happening,
Yeah.
right? And it's really, we should just stay out of that whole thing. We did have a pact with Ukraine when we uh, denuclearized. They had nuclear weapons and they gave them up in order that we would protect them and other countries would protect them. So we do have that. So there is a thing there. But I think that um, you know
Well,
you're playing with fire. It was a bad deal to make then, and it put us in a bad situation now. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. It's bad that Russia's right at our back door. Um, yeah, I
well,
don't know. Everyone's underestimating Russia. Oh, Russia can't even beat Ukraine. Russia could mop Ukraine up in a day.
yeah.
They're just not doing it the way you think they would do it. They're doing it in a way that they want to do it. And really,
The,
I think that they don't want to nuke him or anything like that because they don't want to destroy the entire country because they want to keep the country afterwards, as well as the people there are essentially Russian. It's kind of like if Texas seceded from the United States and the United States went to take Texas back and had to fight them. The people in Texas are still Americans, the civilians.
yeah.
Now, I'm not saying Russia has a whole lot of consideration for civilian life, but I think they do to a degree because it is their own people. They're going to have a whole lot less for anybody else. Like they went to war with anybody else, and it would be a lot worse, I think. So the whole Ukraine Russia thing, I don't really know. It's hard to make out exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, they've been talking a lot more about it, especially since the Hunter Biden conviction. Yeah, they're just bringing out a lot more about how Ukraine's just been just a strategy they've been doing since, I guess, since they toppled their government in 2014.
Yeah,
Yeah, basically the Bidens just started getting in there. They just started getting in, like, at Victoria Newland, that lady I keep telling you about, that was Secretary of State or something like that. They call her the architect of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. And I never heard about her, but they're saying that she's now the architect of this Ukraine war. And just basically the Bidens, they're just all really involved in everything that went on over there. They just had this a little scheme going on. There's taped phone calls of Joe Biden, I guess, that are coming out of him right after Trump won. I guess he's talking to somebody. I can't remember who. I have to write down all the details, but he's trying to get them to close down a bank because I guess this bank was how if I understood it right, it might be wrong, but it's pretty much that this bank was being used to launder money that was getting coming back to the Bidens, and so he was trying to get them to shut down that bank, so that when
Right.
Trump, he mentions Trump by name, like if I want when Trump gets in there, that if there, that we have to send some sort of humanitarian aid, all of a sudden he's gonna start looking in places, something like that to that extent. But yeah, he was trying to already just cover his ass
Well, do you
because
know that the Biden family has, I believe it's 23 shell companies. It's over 20.
oh yeah, yeah, I've heard about that.
And so with Ukraine, and this is one element of why this has escalated the way it has, and why we've gone a little overboard with this protection of Ukraine, is because of Biden's son working at Burisma, getting paid millions of dollars for a job he had no experience and no education in, and he's on the board, getting paid millions of dollars by this company. Then Joe Biden, as vice president, withholds, I believe it was $500 million of foreign aid to the Ukraine when he was vice president, until the Ukrainians fired the prosecutor who was investigating Burisma for corruption where his son worked. They fire the prosecutor, the foreign aid, $500 million is released to the Ukrainians. So the Ukrainians got $500 million payoff to let his son work for this corrupt company, Burisma. And then there were payments. There's been at least $5 million. This has been proven in Congress in the congressional hearings, and that's why I say people should watch them. You won't see this on the news, but the evidence is right there. It's been proven that they got at least $5 million payment from Ukraine into their shell companies. Then it goes into these shell companies, and then from the shell companies, they divvy it out
Yeah,
um, to the Biden family, the whole family.
yeah,
Like all different members of the family are getting money payments, and they run it through shell companies. And the ironic part is they're going after Trump. You got you got straight up mobster racketeering kind of stuff going on with this president. I mean, the president of the United States has shell companies, that his family has shell companies, and we have proof that they took millions of dollars from the Ukraine that we know of, at least 5 million. And
yeah.
his son is getting paid millions of dollars to work for a company who's corrupt. And so now I believe the Ukraine has more information than has even been presented.
Yeah.
Um, and so, what are the Bidens going to do? Right? Russia attacks Ukraine. What are they going to do? They have no choice. They're leveraged by Ukraine. Um, in Ukraine now our media might not show all this stuff, right? So the American people are like, oh, I don't think it's true, right? But if we didn't defend Ukraine and do what Zelensky wants, who's also a mobster, but if we didn't do what he wanted and give him what he needs or whatever he asked for, then he's going to blast this information on international TV around the world, and there's no stopping the American people from hearing it then and seeing the evidence then. So the Biden, it's funny because they would say Trump was leveraged by the Russians, but the Bidens are 100% proven leveraged by the Ukraine.
I know. Yeah,
So the funny thing about that is this is what I've noticed over the years is everything that this government accuses Trump of
yeah,
is what they are doing.
yeah,
They say, well, everything that they're doing, they accuse the other side of doing. But that tells you exactly whenever they accuse him of something, that's what they are.
yeah, yeah. It's
So
crazy.
how it's going to play out, I don't know. Um,
Well, I mean, Biden just signed some sort of 10-year pact with Ukraine, which involves them officially joining NATO eventually. So for him to do that on his last year, he's supposed to be a lame duck president right now. And
if Ukraine joins NATO, you might as well just call it World War III.
yeah, well, I mean, that might be why Russia's doing that over here in Cuba.
Not Ukraine and NATO. They'll go nuclear, I think, at that point.
Um,
So basically, America, if you're supporting Joe Biden, you're about to get vaporized. Is I mean, I know that's a harsh and kind of like you're gonna like, nah, yeah, right. But
nah,
um,
those are just delusional.
imagine um, imagine if Russia um, got Canada on board with Russia and then deployed nukes to Russia. I mean, to Canada. What would we do?
Yeah,
Right? And that's basically what the Bidens are trying to do because they're leveraged by the Ukrainians. They have no choice because of their corruption. They're getting they're getting rich. I just saw a stat the other day from Reagan to Trump. Every president who left office from Reagan to Trump came out wealthier, way wealthier,
Yeah.
except Trump. Trump had less money than he went in with. All the others had more. The Bidens have hundreds of millions. How are they making that money?
Yeah.
How? What's their business?
Yeah.
Politics?
Their whole
I
game
mean,
has been exposed.
you got a crack smoking son who doesn't even have a job, and the only job he did have that we know of, or that well, two jobs. He apparently he's Picasso, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
on top of that, he works for an energy company. He doesn't have any experience or education in the field, but they're making hundreds of millions of dollars, and Americans are like, "Well, Trump's a criminal."
Yeah.
Um, he came out with less money than he went in with. These guys came out with hundreds of millions more, and Biden hasn't even come out yet, but they're making ridiculous amounts of money off these backdoor deals with our enemies.
Well, the crazy thing that you're just what you're describing is already insane. But that's only Ukraine. I mean, China's in
Right.
play. China also they've gotten money
Yep.
from China, and there's been
Yep.
direct deposits. As soon as China would send money to, I think I'm not sure if it was Joe Biden, not Joe Biden. I'm sorry, Jim.
James.
Is it James?
James.
James, the brother that he would send money to Joe like directly and call it a payback, some sort of loan,
Yeah, a loan
but
payment.
literally all back to back, like in the same day, like
Right.
so.
It's all run through these shell companies to the Biden family, then they'll give it to the president.
Yeah,
So China. So we know this from congressional hearings, and this is why I say, forget watching the news. Turn on the congressional hearings on YouTube. You don't have to watch them live and watch the whole boring parts. Just turn on whatever you're interested in. If you want to see the Biden corruption, turn on the YouTube collusion with China, YouTube collusion, Biden's collusion with Ukraine, whatever, and you'll see the hearings on this, and you'll see the evidence for yourself. Um, Unfiltered through the media, right? You can see it for yourself, make up your own mind. If you think I'm wrong, check it out for yourself and make up your own mind. But the evidence has been proven that they've taken money. It's funny because they've taken money, millions from China. The Romania, I think, was like hundreds of thousands. Ukraine was millions, and Russia was millions. The Bidens took money, millions, from Russia and
yeah,
Ukraine.
yeah.
And these all went to shell companies that they own and operate, and then it gets funneled through to the Biden families through these shell companies to put a layer of not directly payment. It's an indirect thing. It's harder to follow, but it's been proven. They mapped it. They mapped out these shell companies and where all the money goes in Congress. This has all been mapped out. It's not even a debate of whether it's happening or whether they're doing this. It's been proven in Congress. The news is not going to tell you this.
That's the funny thing though, man. Like how deep does it really go to the point that Congress is covering up for Biden? Like those types of arrangements, money arrangements, sound like a personal greed thing for to benefit him and his family. But why the hell would the Senate and Congress? Why would they all just cover it up, not even bring it up? Why would the media like just not look into it? Why
Well,
protect
the
them so much?
Congress,
Why protect them so much when it
well,
sounds like a selfish thing that him and his family are doing?
Well, when you watch the hearings, you can see who's covering for them and who's not, and it's generally the Democrats almost always. Anytime they introduce anything, I have an objection, and they want to stop the proceedings and try to not allow that into evidence and etc. So they are covering for them, and the media is covering for them, and they're all covering for them for political and money, politics and money, right? So they want to keep their jobs. You don't do it, we're going to get rid of you. We're not going to back you. The DNC is not going to back you, congressman or woman. We're not going to back you on your reelection bid. You're pretty much going to be out. We're going to back the heck out of somebody who is going to cover for them, and we're going to give them millions of dollars to run against you, and we're going to do a PR campaign, and the media is going to help us with it because they're also getting kickbacks. They're all getting kickbacks out of this sort of thing,
Yeah,
and they're all getting rich off of this. It's all about money and power, and there are people in Congress who are presenting the true evidence, who are just trying to do their job. But that's why I say watch these congressional hearings, and it becomes real clear. You can see them trying to hide evidence. It's just evidence
yeah,
of crimes, and they don't want the American people to know about it, and the media will not report about it because they don't. They're also being controlled and with money and intimidation to not do this either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it
I
must
mean,
say
even
something.
Republicans to a degree are corrupt in the Congress because, like I said, this is 6 months, a year ago, at least 6 months ago, that I seen all this evidence that and it's not even like it's well, maybe they did it, maybe they didn't. I'm not sure. No, this is absolutely proven that
Yeah.
they took money from those countries, millions of dollars. It's absolutely proven that they have shell companies and it's being funneled into the Biden family. This has all been proven, and yet we still don't have any impeachment of Joe Biden by the Republicans. Why wouldn't they do that? It's an open and shut case, and they have control of the Congress. They can start the proceedings today, but
Yeah.
yet they keep talking about it. But they're running the clock out and waiting until it's too late, and they're going to have a new election, and then Biden maybe not president, and we forget all about it. Biden goes away, stupid rich, and his whole family stupid rich because they fleeced the world, compromised American security to the point of maybe World War III.
Uh,
It's just messed up.
James Comer, I think his name is. He's in charge of one of these congressional hearings. I don't know which one. I guess
Oh
him.
yeah, I know. Yeah, Comer.
Yeah. He was on Maria Bartiromo the other day on Fox News.
Yeah,
And I forgot exactly. He was basically just describing everything you just said about the Bidens and this and this and that, and just giving out perfect, great evidence for for there to be at least some sort of impeachment or anything. And at one point, he's like, he's going off like a little tangent, and she at one point at the end just says, "Well, what? I don't get it. You have subpoena power. Why don't you subpoena him?" Like, or something like that, like some sort of thing, that some power that they have. And he just sort of stops, like, well, like almost like, she's saying, like, dude, you have all the power. Like, why the hell aren't you doing anything about everything you just told me?
right.
And they have like no excuse. Like so it's weird that they don't want to do anything, and they know that they're just incompetent.
It's not incompetent. They know.
Yes, but yeah, but why? What the hell could that strategy be? Why not do it now? Like, why
Well,
wait?
they're not doing it, and it pains me to say this, but they're not doing it because they're in on it, right?
Yeah, that
They're,
could be the only.
there's no other reason for them not to do it. Put to you like this: if this evidence that's presented against Joe Biden, the president of the United States, if I saw this evidence presented in Congress against Trump, I would be jumping up and saying impeach his ass,
No.
right? You don't take this from anybody. And so it doesn't matter who you like, what side you're on. You should be on the side of the truth and the side of justice, because if you're not, then your life and your country is going to become a country of injustice and falsehoods. And that's where we are. And it doesn't matter. You can get your personal preference or your emotions out of it. The evidence is what the evidence is. The evidence of the corruption of the Bidens is so massive
Yeah.
compared to what they got Trump on. Yet Trump is the one that's in court every day, right? And you don't even have, like, you got stupid ass. It's ridiculous. You got city prosecutors, just city prosecutors or state prosecutors dragging the president into court in all these different states. Why aren't any prosecutors, conservative or Republican prosecutors from these states and cities, dragging the Bidens into court? Why don't they do the same thing? Because they don't want to. They're in on it. They're all getting something, or they're afraid. Which I would be afraid, and I could get that if they don't want to do it because they're afraid. But if they can drag um, Trump into court, why can't they drag Biden into court? Why can't they? I mean, he's president, so they can't do it right now, but they could do it in the future. But they could drag Obama into court. There's plenty on him as well. They don't do anything to the Clintons. They don't do anything to the Obamas. And these guys are all dirty, and there's way more evidence against them than there is against Trump.
Yeah. No
And
shit.
so you don't have Republicans fighting back at all. All they do is come out and talk, and then eventually it all goes away because now you got somebody else president, or the statute of limitations is run out. This is the game.
The only thing I could think about is that maybe all this money, all these trillions of dollars they've given to Ukraine is just a laundering scheme, and they're all going to get some money out of it. I mean,
Right, there's money going back and forth for sure.
so that's the only thing that could really explain it to me. Why the hell they're just, the Congress and the Senate and the media are all just quiet on it, or that's how much they distrust Kamala Harris. Like, if they were to call, just prosecute Joe Biden on everything that's already known, they'd be left with Kamala. But they must not trust her at all. There's and how the hell that could be. You're in comparison to a corpse that's just walking around there. You see him. He went to the G7 summit, and how Joe was behaving out there.
I heard he just. Well, I didn't see it, but I
Yeah, he
heard
was
he
just
just
like a
started walking.
senile old man, just walking off everywhere. Like he had like some sort of handler that kept having to like call him back, and he was just out of it. People, they were just guiding him, basically like an old ass man, like um, Macron, I think from France, is like kind of holding him like you would like an old man, like just guiding him like towards where they're all walking. So
And the crazy thing is, there are millions of Americans who will still vote for that. What the? I mean, seriously, what are you voting for? Like, it's insane that you would vote for that. Not that I think our elections are even free and fair anyway, but there are people who are going to go, "Yeah, Biden sounds good to me." Well, he's taking millions from the enemies. He's getting stupid rich. He's funneling your tax money to Ukraine, protecting their border while he won't protect yours. Um, he's senile, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so that's what you want to vote for. Like, think about, like, if you put the Russia and Ukraine in the terms of America and in the southern border. Let's just say Russia didn't militarily attack Ukraine, but yet millions of Russians just started flooding their border and invading Ukraine that way, the same way they flood our southern border. Say the same thing was happening, but it was Russia into Ukraine, and then the Russians come in there and they start dictating elections in town, and the politicians start pandering to the Russians instead of the Ukrainians to win elections, because that's what's happening here. What would the United States response be to that? Oh, you guys got to secure that border. We're protecting the Ukrainian border, a border halfway across the world, and while we're leaving ours wide open. This is what you're voting for: the destruction of your own country, which is the destruction of yourselves.
yeah. And now they're bragging that supposedly they've allowed Ukraine to use American weapons inside of Russia,
Right.
and they're bragging about that. Like,
Yeah, and we're about to go to World War III because of it. I mean, Russia's only going to put up with so much before they're going to kick it off.
fuck, man. Hopefully they
Like
understand that.
Belarus is Russia's probably their closest ally because they're Russian as well. It's part of the former Soviet Union. The president of Belarus said we're preparing for World War III right now, and the Russians have said we're already in World War III. Right? So you can get emotional and go, I don't like Trump, but I like Biden. He's a nice guy. Trump's a bad guy. Well, that's going to do you a whole lot of good when you're in a World War III, which isn't going to not it isn't going to be overseas, just overseas. We're talking it's going to hit everywhere, because the weaponry of today, you're not safe. You might think you are, and it can never happen. It's denial, but we're right on the cusp of it, and people are still out there cheerleading it. It's insane to me.
Well, I guess yeah, all that stuff kind of describes why this flag is on top of this new graphic. I
Yeah,
found the
America.
I found the original one. Well, I'd seen it, and somebody made like this is yeah like the MySpace days, man. But so I don't know if you could read that right there. It says Public Law 829. So I guess it's somewhere in there. But I don't know if they're just making up this part. But Public Law 829, Seventh Congress, Section whatever 4A. I don't know if you can read that. The flag should never be displayed with the Union down, save as a signal of dire distress. The flying of your flag upside down represents that you see this country is in crisis. But they put that
Yep.
part in quotation marks, so I don't know if they're just kind of adding stuff. This flag shall remain battered. Oh no, what does it say? Tattered, tattered and upside down as a sign of constitutional distress. And then I put like some website, I guess, where it was you could find this, but that website don't even exist anymore. But
Mm.
yeah, man, for sure, this country is yeah pretty close to
Well, not just the country; it's the whole world. I mean,
yeah. That's true.
it,
Well,
it's a bad situation for the whole world right now.
but it's worse off if the United States goes, because once the United States goes, for sure. The world is done for. You know what I mean? There's nobody there to save anybody anymore.
Right.
If we can't even save ourselves, man. But
But so the election, you said what, 144 days?
yeah, from
Yeah.
today.
So between here and there, um, I mean, like I say, if Trump stays in it, if we just go off the pattern of the last two elections, you're going to have more riots in your streets. Um, then they're going to be uh, politically moved. I don't mean politically motivated by people, the regular citizens. I mean politically motivated by the United States government, who's going to pay people to go out there and do this and propagandize people. And so some people will be out there being paid. There will be really be like kind of the leaders who get people all crazed up, and then you'll have other people who do it, and they'll just find another issue. Like I said, I think they found. I think they tried the Palestinian Jewish issue. I think that was their first attempt,
Yeah,
and it actually didn't work because they did it at these universities, and there's a lot of Jewish donors that are wealthy that were pulling their donations to these universities, and so it was like the university was like, hang on,
yeah,
we like money more than we like the truth or politics, so forget that one. So they'll probably go with something else. They'll need a some sort of situation, either naturally, or they'll create a situation like someone shooting a black guy, a cop shooting a black guy or something like that,
yeah.
or they might do something else, who knows. But I think that's what's going to happen between here and there. You're going to have that, and the reason they do that is to keep people distracted while they'll basically start putting in place methods to rig the election if need be. Now they'll only do it if they need to. They'll see how the election's going, like the last time, and then if it's not going their way, then they stop it. They say, "Oh, we're going to have to stop counting for the night," and they do it in Democrat-held cities, in purple states, which are swing states, and then they'll rig it after that. But they'll have those fake ballots in place, and also while they're rioting, they're going to have people putting ballots in ballot boxes and mailing in ballots and things like that. So they're going to just keep people's eye off the ball. So the riots and stuff are government orchestrated distractions, and it's about rigging the election. So I think if we just go off the pattern of what's happened before, it'll be something along those lines.
Well, I keep hearing that they're cleaning out the voter rolls everywhere. That's a good thing, though. Like they're basically trying to get rid of people that are deceased, people that aren't allowed to vote. That they're just trying to. That's one way, at least, to prevent it. Some sort of preventive measures and stuff like that. I saw that. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I couldn't figure out if this is good news or bad news that Trump met with the Senate and all the congressmen. Did you see about that?
No.
So it was like his first time back in the Capitol, I guess, since he left.
Oh
But
no, I didn't
the,
hear
yeah,
about it.
but that supposedly the meeting went well, and they were all behind him. And he made a little speech saying, yeah, the Republican Party's united. But he started talking like his regular like speech talking points and stuff like that. So I don't know. I couldn't tell like he must have not agreed to to compromise anything that he's been talking about. But I wonder if they asked him like, all right, this is our only conditions, and we're going to be fully backing you. Like I wonder what the how the meeting could have gone so well when this whole time, they've sort of just hung him out to dry, with all these convictions and everything like that. For the most part, most of them haven't really supported
Well, I
him.
think it depends on who was behind him, right? Like who was there, because there
Well,
are
they're saying that
some.
him and Mitch McConnell made up that they had
Yeah,
Trump
Mitch
sitting at a
McConnell's
table.
corrupt as the day is long.
Yeah, so but I wonder if Trump fell for it. Does Trump believe him? Does, what I mean?
No,
Like, yeah, he came
no.
out. His expression. This video, you can see it. His expression. He doesn't look excited, but he looks like he's just accepting it. Like and
Well, I think Trump, as far as like someone like Mitch McConnell goes, I think Trump knows that Mitch McConnell's corrupt. I think it's pretty clear he is, and I think that. But Mitch McConnell holds a lot of power, right? Senate Minority Leader, and so these are the guys that are the real string pullers in the Congress and Senate, is the leaders of the party.
yeah,
And so you need Mitch McConnell to get anything done. So I think Trump is sort of trying. Okay, so they're both trying to manipulate each other. Trump trying to manipulate McConnell for the good of America. Trump's basically playing chess with him, and
Yeah,
McConnell is trying to manipulate Trump for his own benefit.
yeah.
Because Mitch McConnell don't care about anybody but Mitch McConnell.
Well, supposedly he's gonna retire at the end of this year, so he's on his way
Good.
out. Yeah, but I
And they'll
mean,
just bring in another corrupt one.
what the hell could he be? Could he be setting up before he leaves? I mean, could he be setting up something? Who the hell knows? But yeah, I saw
I
that.
mean, you
So
never know. Like if he's on his way out, he might be like, "Okay, well, I've made my stuff," and then maybe he has a moment where he's like, "You know what? I'm going to do what's right for the first time in Congress or in the Senate, and actually back Trump, and I'm going to be legit." Maybe he's actually going to do that because I don't have anything to lose now. That's possible, but I doubt it. I mean, yeah,
well,
I think it's more likely that Trump is playing with. He knows which Republicans are corrupt and which aren't, and the ones that are corrupt, he knows it's it's kind of he's like doing business. He's just
yeah,
trying to get the good deal out of it,
yeah,
they're trying to work each other back and forth. They both know where each other stand, but they'll play the game and try to win. And but the beauty is Trump's trying to win for you, right?
yeah,
He's trying to win for the people. The most of the rest of them are just trying to win for themselves and for the deep state and for the powerful. And there are some Republicans I think are legit, but a lot of them aren't.
yeah, yeah. So I couldn't figure out if if that was a good thing or not. But I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
pretty
know
sure.
what they said. So
Yeah, Anna Paulina Luna, some congressman
oh,
from
I
Florida.
like her.
Huh?
I like her.
Yeah, she's dope, man. She's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
She,
she was saying, I don't know. I was watching the news all day yesterday, and yeah, she said that she was talking about something that I don't know. I can't remember. But well, anyway, so yeah, I guess we'll see. We got 144 days to find out how everything starts playing out with Russia and by Cuba. Who the hell knows? Biden signing that 10-year pact with Ukraine. Who the hell knows?
and you know what's funny about Ukraine? It's like so. The United States says we gotta stop Russia because Putin's a dictator and he's a bad guy. Okay, Zelensky, the leader of Ukraine, imprisoned um,
Oh yeah,
political opponents, and he shut down TV stations that didn't agree with him.
cancel the elections.
Yeah, he's a dictator, right? So we're like, well, we got to stop this dictator from overthrowing this dictator. Meanwhile, our border is wide open. So
He's
what the hell are they doing, right? So people think Zelensky's a good guy because they propagandize that too. They're like, "Oh yeah, get your Ukrainian flag and fly it around. Zelensky's a good guy. Look how he just wears a sweatshirt and he's not even in a tie. He's just a regular Joe." It's
yeah,
all bullshit.
yeah,
He's a corrupt dictator who silences political opposition. Period.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like there aren't free elections in Ukraine.
yeah. I think Rand Paul's always talking about that. Like you guys are talking about, we're over there defending democracy for a country that's the most anti-democratic country you could imagine,
Right.
and they're all just ignoring it. So it has to be some sort of money laundering scheme, something like that. Because there's keeps coming reports keep coming back that all the generals are all taking that money and buying mansions out there. That I don't know if I heard that Zelensky bought like a theme park, or I don't know if it was that. It was some sort of weird thing. Yeah, like some just nonsense. Like they're just using the money
I
for
mean,
whatever
if
the hell they
that's
want.
true, if that's true, and even if it isn't, the fact of the matter is, hey, Americans, when you go and you want to support Biden and support Ukraine, when you go to fill up your gas tank and go to the grocery store and pay your rent, remember a big part of that, or at least a part of that, is going to the Ukraine. That's why it costs more. That's a big reason. The bigger reason
Yeah,
is the war on energy from the United States president, who doesn't want you to use gas and he wants you to buy electric cars, which is the lithium's coming out of China. So that's the other corruption. You got the Chinese corruption. So the United States is in bed with your enemies, and it's costing you. You can barely survive, most people now, because of the price of everything, and yet you're still going to vote for it.
Yeah.
I mean, so don't complain. If you vote for Biden, don't complain about the price of gas, the price of rent, the price of anything. Everything is way up, like
No.
double, triple, quadruple. And so you're endorsing that by voting for him. So
Yeah.
you can't vote for the guy who's causing it and still complain about it. And I know they want to talk about, well, what about the economy Biden inherited? Trump's economy was great. Gas was like 250 when Biden came in office. What is it now?
Yeah.
$5? $5 in California. That's what it was in California, 250. So it's double. The rents here, apartment costs you 2,500 in California,
No.
right? Uh, Groceries are everything is
Everything. Yeah.
super expensive, and it's all because of the corruption with our enemies that the Bidens are getting paid off on, and all the other politicians, the deep state, they're all taking this money, the media, and the war on energy. And the war on energy is just to make China rich, so China can pay off our politicians,
No.
right? Because where's all the battery components coming from? The lithium, which is the main ingredient in a rechargeable battery. China has like I don't know, it's like 90+%, or they have the
Yeah.
vast majority of lithium comes out of China. So
Yeah.
they don't want you using gas, and they don't want us making gas here, right? They don't want oil wells here. They don't want pipelines here, right? Because they don't want you guys being able to um, drive a gas powered car, because then China isn't getting rich, and China is paying them to make that happen.
No.
But just go check that box, and you endorsed it.
Yeah. I mean, it could be that they. I mean, I think it's plausible that they sold out this country to China. They just want this
Oh yeah,
to be exactly like China, and
you know
they want to impress the Chinese, and yeah.
you know that foreign governments, China included, have paid billions of dollars to United States universities, indoctrination centers into communism.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would China and foreign powers who are communist and who are not our allies be donating money to United States university systems? Why in the world would they do that? The only reason is then they can control what goes on there, and they can control it into getting your kids who become young adults but still have mushy brains to go there and being indoctrinated into their way of thinking and
Yeah.
not American way of thinking. There's Chinese are buying up farmland, they're buying universities, or they're financially invested in these universities with a controlling power. They're putting police stations in America. There's literally Chinese police stations in the United States.
That's fucking crazy.
And the United States government's going, oh, nothing to see here. Right,
Yeah.
because they're getting paid by China. And people are going to vote for this. I mean, it's I'm just done. I'm done sugarcoating it. You know, if you're voting for them, you're voting for your own destruction,
Well, again,
and
all stuff.
you're voting for the destruction of your children and grandchildren and their enslavement. That's what you're voting for.
No shit.
And I'm not saying Trump is the answer to everything. He's just the only one who actually cares about American people that's in the political scene right now that has any power. It could be anybody. It's not about the man. It's about his position, his ideology. He
Yeah.
wants to help Americans. You elect Trump, the pipelines get open, the wells get open, the regulations on gas and coal and um, oil get pulled back. The price of your gas goes way down, which means the price of your food goes way down because gas is involved in everything. The price of your clothes goes way down. The price of your rent goes way down. The price of everything goes way down just by checking Trump. That's it. So it's a choice of, like, are you willing to financially suffer and maybe get into World War III, because Biden's a good guy. He's not a good guy. If he's going to cause you to financially suffer and maybe die, because he says, "Come on, folks, come on
On
now.
top of all the
I'm
corruption.
gonna be straight with you, folks."
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's crazy. But then again, I mean, yeah, all the stuff you just mentioned, this is all stuff that you would think the media would be jumping all over. This is a great story. This would be great television. They'd get ratings up the ass if they were just following all these leads and putting all these pieces together. But they're just quiet. They're just
Right,
not.
because they are paid extremely well to do that job.
Yeah.
These guys are making, these guys are on the top percentage of people. Like if you're on TV on the news, you're making a lot of money, especially if
Yeah.
you're on national, you're making a lot of money. And so it's really the real thing here is it's class warfare. It's not Republican versus Democrat, black versus white, trans or gay versus straight,
Yeah.
uh, atheist versus Christian. It's none of these things. These are all just tools they use to divide the people. What they're really going for is the rich versus everybody else. And the
Yeah.
people in the media, the people in the media are considered on that rich and included sector. And if they don't tell them, if they don't go on there and propagandize the American people, well, then they're going to lose their job and be taken off the air, and they're going to put another person in the place. There's an endless line of people who want to go on there, and they have no morals about doing whatever they're told to make a lot of money and secure their future. So they're going to be fine, but they're going to ruin your life.
Yeah. I'm just saying they'd just be informing a lot more people. And that's why, as far as what we're going to talk about right now with these lists of questions, that's why I put the what do we do about the media as the first question. Like I think for sure they need to be held accountable. Something needs to happen with the media. They need to change how that whole thing works.
Best way to
Cause
hold them accountable is shut it off. If no
yeah,
one's watching,
something.
if no one's watching, they got no one to propagandize.
Well,
If
it's
you
just
turn
it's
it on,
just
you're
a
choosing propagandized.
it's just such a useful tool that's just not being used for the right reasons.
Right, and
So
so is the internet. But but the government has secured the internet, the information on the internet, and the information on TV as a tool for propaganda. And your
yeah,
universities, and your grade schools, and your high schools, and your junior high schools, and your city councils. I mean, the FBI actually had informants. They actually had FBI agents spying on Catholic churches.
yeah,
Right. This is how deep your government is willing to go to take away your freedom. Why in the world would the FBI be spying on a Catholic church? And this is true. This is true. And when it was exposed, they eliminated the operation, but they didn't eliminate it until people found out. But the FBI, they're not going into mosques saying, "Hey, let's check out these mosques." They're going into Catholic churches
yeah,
and doing it. So it's a war against the American people by the American government, who's subservient to China and Russia and Ukraine and foreign powers who are communists who don't want capitalism to continue on. They're trying to undermine capitalism,
yeah.
which means they're going to take away your money. There's going to be in those countries, there's rich and poor. There's no middle class, and that's exactly what they're trying to do here. They're trying to eliminate the middle class. Anyway, I'm getting off on. I'm just. It's like I'm just so done with the ignorance and willful ignorance of the people of this country that are still on board with this stuff, who can't think logically, refuse to think logically, and want to think with their emotions. And they're going to, because I'm going down with it too,
Yeah.
right? Because of them.
Well, I was gonna say
So,
earlier that Trump got a bunch of new supporters after the conviction that he had. He got a lot of money, a lot of people coming out saying that they didn't vote for him before, they didn't like him, but because of the conviction, now they they're voting for him and they're donating to him. But even those people, I think, don't know. I'd say about 80% of the stuff that me and you just talked about. Like they're not doing it for those reasons, which in a lot of ways is a lot more important because it's not just about Trump. It's really about what's going to happen to the country if he doesn't get in. So it'd
right.
just be more useful if more people knew all these little details and it was presented in a certain way, which is understandable, which the media has every tool to do. But they're just holding all that stuff for negative press towards him and just covering up shit for Joe. That's it. That's all.
They're
That's all it's
doing
been.
what they're paid to do.
Yeah,
And
it's
if
a
they
damn
don't do
shame.
it, then they're gonna get out of the chair next, put a new guy in there. Now you're getting paid to do what we want you to do. You're gonna do it, yeah? Okay, cool. Here's your big paycheck. You're secure,
Yeah,
and that's how that works. But we talked about this a little before with the Trump conviction. So people understand the Biden conviction has nothing to do with Joe Biden. I mean, Hunter Biden it has to do with Trump. All they're trying to do is fool America because America knows that Trump is being politically persecuted because he has power and he has more people behind him than anybody else in this country. And if they leave him alone, he's going to be the president of the United States and he's going to unravel this deep state and this um, attack on American freedoms and lower the prices for people and give you back your buying power and your freedom. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make it seem like they're not corrupt. The justice system is fair because look, we convicted Hunter Biden, we prosecuted him and convicted him, but at the end of the day, he's not going to do any jail time, and his life is going to go on just like it did before. So it makes no difference to them that he got a conviction. They still win there. Changes nothing for them, but they're going to try to use that to say that Trump's conviction is valid because look, we went after Hunter Biden. But the only reason they went after Hunter Biden was to try to validate the Trump conviction. Everyone knows
Yeah.
it's rigged. Even like most Biden supporters know it's rigged. And
Yeah.
so and that's the other thing. You got a justice system in the United States where they're going after a former president of the United States over nonsense. 34 convictions. Jeffrey Dahmer didn't have 34 convictions. El Chapo didn't have 34 convictions,
Yeah.
right? These guys who murdered people don't even have this sort of felony record.
Yeah.
So we got to deal with Ukraine and Russia because those guys are dictators. Russia, he's a dictator. They go after political opponents and they squash the right of the people. Well, that's exactly what we're doing here. We're no better. We're the same, and we're probably worse because they're more open with it. Russia's pretty open with it. Ukraine tries to hide it, and we really try to hide it. Anyway,
I guess
I'm done,
the I
done
guess
with this.
Alvin Bragg, I guess the guy that brought those 34 charges against Trump, he's going to testify before Congress. He's agreed to come. Him and the guy that was number 3 at the Department of Justice that stepped down from there to help
Yep,
Alvin Bragg.
yep.
He's gonna testify too, man. So see what bullshit these guys come up with to justify their actions, man. But so I don't know when that's gonna happen. Should be pretty soon.
And this is must watch hearings. Like people,
Yeah.
like you had said that the news is more entertaining than congressional hearings. I got to disagree. Watch some of these congressional hearings; they are freaking entertaining.
Yeah.
It is insane, like what you see, and you see it firsthand, and it becomes very clear to you what's going on. No matter what you think right now, watch them, and then make up your own mind. Quit turning on Channel 7 or whatever channel news or propaganda, and letting them tell you what you should think. Go think for yourself. Just watch these hearings. You got these hearings coming up. Great. Watch them and watch how they try to manipulate the narrative and not answer questions and talk about, well, we'll get back to you on that, or well, we
Yeah.
got an ongoing investigation on that, so we'll let you know in 3 years. They won't answer questions. They'll stall for time. They'll
Yeah.
sidestep everything, and you'll see very clearly how they
Yeah.
hide everything from you.
Yeah, these people that testify, they never look worried. They're always, you could tell they're always just coached. They know what to say. They already know what the questions are going to be asked, so they know how to respond. And yeah, they just stall the whole thing and just say, "Oh, I showed up at least, so shut up now." So I'm
Because
pretty.
even they're confident because even if you catch them in a crime, who's going to prosecute them? They know there's no one that's going to bring charges or indict them.
No.
The FBI director Wray, corrupt. The Attorney General Garland, corrupt. I mean, the head of all these federal investigation agencies are all corrupt. They're all in on it, so they don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
And they did go after Hunter Biden, but it's a nothing burger.
Yeah.
He's going to get probation, and even if they give him a sentence, then the president just commutes his sentence. I didn't pardon him. I said I wouldn't pardon him. Yeah, but you're going to commute the sentence, right? So he's not going to do any jail time, and it's not going to have any effect on his life. He's going to go back doing whatever, smoking crack, making deals with China and Ukraine, and making millions. And his life will carry on just like it did before. But see where the justice system is fair. It's not fair. If you watch these congressional hearings, these guys have been caught in crimes left and right. Like if you're investigating the Catholic Church, that's illegal, right? The FBI did that. When they asked the FBI director who was fired, who was arrested, who was indicted, nobody.
No.
They didn't even fire the people who did it.
Yeah.
There's no accountability, right? So these people can act with impunity against the American people in your schools, everywhere. And when they
Yeah.
get caught, no one's going to prosecute them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, 144 days of this until we find out if this is going to be the how it's going to be from now on, or if we have a chance of Trump undoing everything. So we'll
Without a
see.
doubt, what happens this year is going to be the most important election of our lifetimes.
Oh hell yeah, for sure. I don't think people really
And maybe
understand
one
that.
of the most important, if not the most important in American history. That's a big statement, but it could be
Yeah.
because it might decide whether well, we're not even free now, but it's kind of veiled. But if Trump loses, your freedoms are gone. Period. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not even going to be. They're not even going to have to veil it anymore. It's just gone.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. All right, Dan. Well, let's get into this. See how far we could go into these questions again. I'm gonna do a
All
kind of
right.
a quick, just a kind of quick recap on the ones we have answered. We've answered what we thought we gave our ideas on what the answers should be. What should the responsibility of the press be? Was our first question. How should voting fraud? What the hell did I do here? Did I just type something? How should voting fraud or could voting fraud be resolved? We did that one. How do we finally resolve the immigration issue? We have our ideas on that. Do we need to reform public education? If so, how? What is your plan to improve public health? How do we bring back jobs to America? What should be done about the military industrial complex? How do we finally deal with our energy needs? Do you think we need term limits? We talked about that one, right? We went that far.
Yeah.
And then we went to do you think we have a overpopulation problem? I think we talked about that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We did that one.
Okay. So here's the next one. So I remember I came up with something like a question similar to this, but I kind of rephrased it. So I don't know if this is kind of too much, but if there was finally peace on Earth, what should the goal of mankind be? Like, what the hell should we strive for? I mean, I guess
Well,
it's
I
super
would
broad.
I would answer that two different ways. I mean,
Yeah.
for my perspective, first of all, there's never going to be peace on earth because there never has been. But if there was, I mean, our goal should always be peace on earth, and the goal of mankind should be to worship God, right? I mean, ultimately, that's it. But if you just want to get into the realm of the human existence without the spirituality,
Yeah.
then what should the goal of mankind be? To sustain peace, right, and
Yeah.
prosper, right?
Yeah.
Because look, if everybody believed in God, right, read their Bible, and actually, because once you read it, it's kind of like obvious that God does exist. So if everyone believed in God, you have peace. Period. That's your answer to peace. Like, without that, you're never going to have peace because everyone's trying to be their own God, and they have their own set of morals and their own set of what's right and wrong. So without God, you're not going to have peace ever. And the whole world's never agreed on that, and that's why the whole world's never been at peace.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I honestly, I would just have to leave it in the hands of God. I think that's the real only answer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I just figured trying to put it in context. I mean, I get your angle. Like, yeah, I mean, if everybody was
Well,
just
okay.
more.
So what do you think?
Well, I mean, I guess just and put it into context. Like, yeah, some people are Christian. There's different religions. Everybody has their own faith system, and then you got obviously some people that don't believe, but we all we all live on this planet, and we all everybody's jobs are different. Our the potential of all those people together, we could do a lot more. So I was just thinking along the lines, kind of like basically what Elon Musk's mission is to try to just colonize space, basically, just to move on.
Yeah,
spread life out there.
I mean,
You
I
know,
don't know about colonizing space. It seems like such a
it seems impossible. For
well,
that too.
in a lot of ways, it is like so. If you leave the Earth and you go to another planet or moon that has like it would have to have atmosphere that you could breathe. I mean, but then you got the gravity problem. It's going to be smaller or bigger. You have to find something that's very similar in size with the same gravitational um, pull,
Yeah,
and otherwise, I mean, that's the thing. The Earth, we are created of the Earth,
yeah,
right? That's why you can't leave here because you're an element of here. So
yeah,
you go somewhere else, the elements are different, the atmosphere is different, the radiation is different, the gravity is different, and then how are you going to get there?
yeah,
Like so it's kind of like I don't, and honestly, I don't think we're supposed to go anywhere else. I think Earth is our home. So I don't know about colonizing space. I mean, I think we'll make advancements there and we'll be able to do some of that to a degree, maybe some moons in our solar system,
yeah. I don't think
maybe even Mars,
on
but
Mars. I
it's
don't
kind
know
of
how.
like
Yeah, go ahead.
a pointless exercise because you already have a home, a planet that you are of. You are made of it, and of what it's made of, you are made of, and it's basically a paradise. But we've turned it into a nightmare.
Yeah,
So we don't need to go anywhere. We just need to start living better here.
just clean this place up, huh? Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Even if they got to Mars, I don't know how effective they would be. Like anything they would want to do to make it worth it, they'd have to start like mining, just destroying the planet,
Well,
just start
that's what
looking.
they want to go for.
Yeah,
That's
but
why, because there's a lot of elements on different places that are valuable here, like
uh,
gold or whatever. And so if they find these things on other places, then they're going to want to go there, and it's all about money, and it's not really about humanity.
yeah. I was even thinking the other day. I saw some show that I watched about colonizing Mars. I mean, not Mars. The moon. I think doing that would be dangerous. The moon is so damn important to the Earth that if they would start putting stuff on there that would change, like I don't know. I mean, I know we're super tiny on the moon, but you start messing with the moon and changing its orbit or its spin or some shit like that. It would have really bad consequences, I think, on the planet. So I think that'd be
I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Like, I mean, if there was enough mass or whatever on there, then yeah. But I don't know that you know we could actually put enough mass on there to change any of
yeah,
that. But maybe, I don't
yeah,
know. It's a good point. I never thought of. But
uh,
why? Right? You have a planet, that is can sustain everybody on here and more people, no problem. The majority of the Earth isn't even um, nobody even lives on. It's just open land, the majority of it. So so I would say if you wanted to create a better world here, basically you spread people out more and put
yeah,
them on a lot of this open land and give everyone more space, more freedom, and the going to work, you'd have to spread out workplaces more. But the reason we're all crammed into tiny spaces on a small amount of land on Earth is because of people that are rich who run these things. They want everyone close to bring down costs, right? They want to be able to have multiple workers living close to their work and stacked up in apartment buildings and little tiny yards if they have a house, and then be able to go to work and go home and come back and forth every day and control them.
yeah,
So, I mean, like I said, the earth is a paradise,
yeah,
but we don't treat it that way. And it's because of the greed and no morals of the people who have influence and and money and power. They can't ever get enough money and power, and so they just want more and more of it. And there's people who don't have money and power who want to get money and power, so they fall into that. And everyone's just so full of greed, and they want these things, and you're inundated with them. This is the way you're supposed to live. You need this car, you need this house, you need all, you need this uh, persona, on you need to be this way. And
yeah.
the people who are that way already, they're not even happy. So they're telling you chase down this dream, it'll make you happy, but most of the people who've achieved it aren't happy. So it's a false god, really.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you. I guess there's enough to do on this planet. Yeah, I guess maintaining peace on Earth, which should be the goal, and then just finding ways to live in harmony with the planet. I mean, that could.
like if we call it's funny because if we colonized like Mars or the moon, then we'd be having then eventually we would be at war with the moon and the moon at war with us or something like that.
Yeah.
We would screw that up too. We can't if you can't even fix the problems on this planet, why go make more problems on another planet? You just exasperated the problems. You just moved them from one place to another, and now eventually a government's going to get set up on Mars, and it's going to be the Martian government versus the Earth government, and now we're going to space war, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we would screw that up too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I see that happening. Well, I guess yeah, it's just a broader question. Just after if everything succeeded and everything worked out, what the hell could we do? But I guess that would be the smart approach. Just maintaining it, just maintaining peace on Earth, and just focusing on ourselves and living in harmony with this planet and living in harmony with each other.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
could be it.
really. And like I say, like once again, I'll just reiterate: without God, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's my position. I know other people don't agree with that, and a lot of people do. And I didn't agree with that for most of my life. I was like, well, there's definitely something else going on
Hmm.
because you can't even explain your own existence. You can't explain so many things. Well, basically, you can't explain your own existence. But then I was confronted with it, and I read the Bible, and I did deep research, textual context, the validity of the Bible, and then I read the whole Bible. And when you do, it's stunning
Yeah.
how true it is. Jesus did come. He is the Son of God, and he did die for our sins and was resurrected. And once you realize that, most of your problems go away, even in a bad world like this. I'm not too worried about all these things going on. They frustrate me, but at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about it because of God. I know how this plays out. It's written in the Bible. I know what's going to happen, and I know where I'm going. And that with that, you have a lot of peace, even in the midst of chaos. So that would be my solution: is read the Bible, then get back to me.
Yeah. Well,
You
it's
know,
it's crazy, man. How much atheism has become kind of like a phenomenon. A lot of people just don't want to believe anything. But if people like that get into positions of power, man, I think it's a dangerous thing. If you're
oh, they
like,
already are.
yeah, yeah, I think for sure. I mean, or they feel,
Yeah.
or they worship some sort of negative ideology. I don't know what the hell it could be, but yeah, if you're a person that feels that there's no consequences and you're in a position of power, I think it's a dangerous thing. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I guess they got to figure out ways to. They're trying to reintroduce Christian values into schools again and stuff like that. But for a while, yeah, they were just getting rid of everything. So, I mean,
Well, you know what's funny about that or interesting about that is for the majority of the United States, if we just go United States, the majority of our history, we had Christian values in our schools and in our public government. And everything was a lot better. There was way less crime. You could walk down the street a lot of the time. People didn't even lock their doors on their car or their house. They weren't worried about it because people had a moral code given to them by God. But without that moral code, right? We've gotten rid of most of that. It's out of the public schools for the most part. It's out of the public sector for the most part. Without that, you could see the results of these things. With God, more peaceful, less crime. Without God, way less peaceful and more crime. So, you know, the evidence is there already. And even if you're going to say God doesn't exist, the fact that people live by those rules of the Bible, even if you don't agree with God, if you just live by the rules,
yeah,
you have that. That's that we've seen it play out already. We already have the evidence for which one works better. But people are so no, I'm my own truth and I make up my own morals. And
yeah,
well, then you're saying you're God. Did you create the universe? You didn't. You don't even know how you got here,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think the ideals are a lot like really important. I think for for young people, yeah, for sure. There's something most young people should adopt, into even if whatever choice they make later on in life, there's still good ideals to grow up on and to have. So how
Well,
do
I
they
would
do
say
that?
like this is a fact. Everyone who's ever lived and everyone who lives now and everybody who will live after us is going to be stripped of everything they ever had, everything they ever gained, everything in their life will be stripped away from them and their life will end. So, at the end of the day, why did even without God, if you're on your deathbed, what is going to be important to you, right?
Yeah,
Well, I did all these great things and had mansions and this and that. But it's not really what's going to matter to you. What's going to matter to you is how you treated people and what kind of person you were. That's really what's going to matter. And you'll find that out. People might disagree with that, but when that day comes, they're going to realize that that's true. You can't take any of this stuff with you. You're not keeping any of it. Even your looks, they're going to be taken from you. Your health, it's going to be taken from you. All your possessions, all your money, everything you have, you are going to be brought to your knees and humbled, and it's going to be stripped from you. Right.
yeah,
So then, with that in mind, what kind of life do you want to live? While you have it, while you have the opportunity, what kind of life do you want to live? Is it like, see how much stuff I can collect,
yeah,
how many women I can sleep with? You're not going to be on your deathbed as an old person going, well, yeah, I had a lot of sex, so my life is great. At that point, it's not going to matter anymore. You're not going to care about that. You're going to have regrets about the people you treated poorly, and you're going to have um, good feelings about the people you treated well. And believe me, you're going to want those good feelings. You're going to want the people you treated well to vastly outnumber the bad the bad things you did.
yeah,
God or no God, that's 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 going to be in your head. Everybody's,
yeah,
unless you're insane, then who knows what you're thinking.
yeah. Yeah, I'm with that. I like that. So for sure, the goal should be to just focus on ourselves and just maintain peace on earth and just spread these good ideals out there.
Well, when you look, I'll put it like this: when you help other people, you serve other people, you do good things for other people that are in need or whatever. You're gonna be your life is gonna be way happier than it would be if you're out there just trying to take from people and doing them harm by doing so indirectly and gaining possessions. All that is empty. But that feeling you're going to get out of helping somebody in need, that is not empty. That is full.
Yeah,
And that will make your life full. That will make you're going to walk around feeling good about yourself because you are good and you did something meaningful in this life. That's really what life's meaning is helping other people.
yeah,
Anyway, I'm getting
yeah.
real philosophical right
No, I
now.
like that. No, that's good. That good. That applies to the question. So that's good. I like that. But all
Yeah,
right.
if you have that mentality, then peace on earth is going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. All right, all right. So then that one's I guess we could move on from that one. All right, here's the most one of the most controversial ones, but it's pretty obvious. I'm pretty sure. What's your stance on abortion? Obviously, that was pretty
You want
obvious,
to
I
go
guess.
first, or you want me to go first?
Uh, well, I mean, no, go ahead. You go. You go first.
Okay, so um, I'll put it in real life terms. I mean, I think everyone knows what my stance is based on the fact I believe in God.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if we just put it in real life terms and see the idiocy of the arguments, first of all, it's pro life and pro choice. So that's a propagandized manipulation of people's minds right there, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm pro this and I'm pro. Yeah, pro's good. Okay, if it's abortion, you're either pro-abortion or anti-abortion, right?
yeah,
But they don't want to say anti-abortion because that sounds bad, right? Or you could say pro-life and anti-life, and you don't want to say anti-anything, right? Because then that's negative, right? So they try to put things. They both sides try to put things as
a pro, it's a good. But the main argument people have is pro-choice, right, for abortion.
Hmm.
Well, didn't you have a choice to get pregnant? And then the comment that come back on that is, well, what about incest and rape? Okay,
Yeah.
we can put those to the side. That is like less than 1% of abortions,
Yeah.
right? So let's deal with the vast majority, which is 99+%, which are people who chose to have unprotected sex. So how many choices do you get to make,
Yeah.
right? You make the choice to get pregnant. You know, if you have sex unprotected, you're probably going to get pregnant. So you made a choice. So to say, oh, I need another choice. Okay, well, then what about when the baby's born, right? Oh, well, I don't like the way the kid's turning out. I'm pro choice and I want to kill the toddler.
Yeah.
Well, how many choices are you supposed to have? You make a choice to make a baby. That's your choice. You don't get another choice to say, never mind, I don't want it. That's ridiculous. And that's murder.
Yeah.
That's my position on abortion. And the incest and rape, I think that's another discussion that you could have. It's a little more difficult to take a position on that.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would say still have the baby, and you can give it up for adoption. And that's the other part of this is there's so many families out there that want to adopt who can't adopt because people are aborting babies. If they didn't, they could just give them up for adoption. But they don't even want to go through the 9 months of pregnancy because it'll mess up their Facebook posts and their bikinis or whatever, right? That's what it is. It's all about them. Everything's about me, 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 me. And same thing with peace on earth. It's me, 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 me. If you started looking at you, I'm going to help you. Then these things would go away too. But that's why people do it because they're selfish.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I chose to make a baby, but I don't really want to keep it now because I still want to go out drinking. I still want to go to the beach in my bikini and show off for guys or whatever it may be. And that's why you have this situation. So I'm against abortion because it's morally wrong, and on a choice level, you made a choice to get pregnant,
Yeah. Or to have unprotected sex. Yeah. And
right?
now you want to
Which
just kill
leads
the
to pregnant.
consequence. Yeah.
It's kind of like drinking a beer and then going, "Wait, I didn't want to get drunk. Don't I have a choice?" Yeah, you had a choice to drink the beer, and
Yeah.
that's what happens when you drink it. You get drunk.
Yeah.
You have sex. You get pregnant. So the whole pro-choice is a BS argument because there was a choice made to get pregnant.
Yeah, I guess they've broken it down to what is life and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah,
Oh yeah.
I think once the pregnancy occurs, life exists. But I mean,
Well, let me
to
put it to you like this. Someone made a good argument on that.
mhm,
So if I was making a cake, I mixed it all up, put it in the pan, put it in the oven, turn the oven on, and it's been in there for 2 minutes. And someone came along and took it out and said, "What are you doing? You just ruined my cake." Okay, it's not a cake. Look at it. Well, would have been if you didn't take it out of the oven,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it's still a cake. It's still a baby, right?
yeah,
Once the sperm meets the egg and creates a zygote,
yeah.
you now have a baby. If you plant a seed in the ground and it germinates, which is the same sort of concept, and you do nothing, it's alive. It's going to grow into a plant. Same as the zygote's going to grow into a baby. It's now alive once the sperm and egg have met and created a zygote. You now are pregnant. That is now a baby.
But if you think about how far they've gone with it now, where they almost want to allow, or they're allowing, I think, abortion up to like the 7th or 8th month. Like they're just killing full grown babies practically.
Yeah, and I'd say that's really demonic. I mean,
Yeah,
if you didn't
that's
want it, why did you wait 7, 8 months?
yeah, no shit, man. So I guess my position, yeah, is with you. I'm against it for those reasons. I think these people that get pregnant, they're using it as birth control, and that's fuck. You can't imagine. That's just there's no bigger irresponsible thing to do than to
When they
to
had a
have
choice, when
yeah
they
to
had
have
a choice
unprotected
to use,
sex, and then
they
on
had a
top,
choice to use birth control.
yeah, they could have done that,
They
but
chose not to. They made several choices.
yeah. but it's also just the mentality. I think it goes back to the previous question. Just letting a little bit of the ideals of religion, of the Bible and stuff like that. If you let those ideals in a little bit, I don't think these people will be so damn heartless to where they're just like, oh well, I got pregnant, and I'm just gonna kill whatever's inside of me. I'm gonna have them suck it out, and if it happens again, I'll do it again. Like, I think I think kids are just growing up with just the wrong ideals in their head, man, and so I think it would be kind of, I guess, the overall solution that I would kind of think about is kind of, I guess, how Trump did it as far as, politically, give it back to the states, and then in the states just try to promote responsible, responsible, having, just being responsible when you have sex or whatever, or just promoting the concept of family, of waiting, of these kids not being dumb and getting pregnant, and just pushing that whole ideal that just wait until you get married and type of stuff, and just be responsible, or just the gift that a baby is.
That's what I was gonna say. It's a gift,
It,
and
it,
you're like, the greatest gift you can get, and you're like, I want to get rid of it.
yeah, people don't
Like,
know.
you want to throw away the greatest thing you've ever been given.
Yeah, they need to give themselves a chance, and just but then some people are, I guess some people have like desperate situations where they're just broke, they're just, maybe whatever it is, financial
Adoption.
situation. So it goes a little further, even to into stuff like that. We gotta fix, society in a lot of different ways in order to try to reduce what people, the need for abortions and stuff like that. So I guess it'll
Once
be a
again, God again. Like, it's biblical. You don't have sex outside of marriage. If you do have sex inside of marriage, it's two become one. It's condoned by God. You have a baby. You're not going to abort it because it's a gift from God within your sanctified marriage. That's
yeah,
it. What's I mean, if you just follow the rules of the Bible, all your problems go away. But
yeah,
people are so no, me. How dare somebody tell me there's a God that's greater than me telling me what to do? There is.
yeah,
So, but it is a gift,
yeah,
and and if you can't afford a baby, you get pregnant. You choose to get pregnant, choose not to use birth control, and you get pregnant anyway, and you don't want the baby, and you can't afford the baby. Well, that's something called adoption, and there's lines of people waiting for to adopt babies who can't even get one because people are aborting them.
yeah,
So you can give that gift to somebody else.
yeah. Exactly. So yeah. So I guess I guess it's not too. I guess for us the solution isn't too complicated. But these people, they just have crazy views on the whole thing. They don't. Again, I think a lot of these people, if they're okay being pro-choice, whatever, their faith isn't all there. Like, they're most likely atheists. There's no way they could be full-on Christians and stuff like that, and
I
still
mean, I'm
be.
imagining some Christians who've done it, but I would say the majority, yeah, it's not going to be Christian.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So they're already growing up with the wrong ideas in their head. So it's going to come
Well, and
back
they're
to.
inundated with this stuff in our society. It's like me, right?
Yeah,
It's this selfishness that
yeah,
we're brought. And I'm telling you, like, the saying, you get more joy out of giving a gift than receiving a gift, and it's so true.
yeah,
The same concept applies to this. It's so much greater to think of somebody else than yourself, to do for somebody else than for yourself. Like, and even a baby, to go ahead and take away your selfish wants and desires and sacrifice for that baby, you're going to get way more happiness and joy out of that in your life than you would if you abort the baby and keep it all about you. You
yeah,
know, like, you don't go out and buy you just, it's true. Like, buying a present for somebody, you get more joy out of that than you do out of somebody giving you a present.
yeah,
Most people.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess it applies here. It would just be that, I guess, just the system of, I don't know, I don't want to use the word like propaganda, but basically, yeah, just trying to inform just young people that, what I mean, that they have a gift there, that they shouldn't look at it as some sort of a burden. There's different options, but that they really need to consider it a life. Like it really is a
It, it,
baby.
the same people who will tell you that a baby in the womb is not a life will tell you you can't kill that, you can't crack um, that spotted owl's egg because you're killing
Yeah,
an endangered species. Well, if the egg isn't cracked yet and the bird hasn't come out, but it's a life, but the one inside of you isn't. You see how they want to have it both ways,
yeah,
right? So they admit that the unborn bird is alive, but the unborn baby isn't. It's really sick. They're putting animals above humans, but the animal doesn't affect their life. The baby does. But what they don't realize is going to affect your life in a great way, not a negative way. But they don't see that because they're inundated with this selfish society that tells them that you don't want to do that. You want to be all about yourself.
yeah. So yeah, okay. Well then, yeah. I guess those are all good points. So yeah, I guess as far as my position, it would be just that, just kind of teaching the youth about the concept of family and the nuclear family, and just the how much of a blessing all that direction is. That finding somebody that you love and having a child with them, and just waiting and trying to prevent them making irresponsible decisions and having unprotected sex and putting themselves in this position where they got to make a choice like this. Just
Yeah, education
trying to
on
nip
the
it in the
issue.
bud, basically. Because it's
Yeah,
youth, it's mostly youth that do this stuff, and they when you're in your 20s or your teens, whatever, you don't think that far ahead, so
right.
you just think what's in front
So
of
I,
you.
I
But if
get it. I get it. This is going to happen, and people are going to get into these situations. And the funny thing about that is like they're so young, like you said, and so they don't have much life experience. May not um, know exactly what the consequences are, what they're doing, and then later on in life, especially if they become a Christian and believe in God, then they're really going to regret that, and it will be forgiven by God.
yeah,
But they're still going to feel really bad about that and realize the mistake they made. And
yeah,
that sort of education through the family would be important. Families, teaching young people about stuff like that,
yeah,
as well as the schools. But the schools aren't going to do that. Schools have gotten rid of all that, gotten rid of morals as far as this goes.
yeah. All right. Well, I guess those are good points right there. So we can move on to the next one.
Right?
All right. So here we go. What should America's role in the world be? So for a long time, people always criticized that the United States acts like the policeman of the world. But I mean, in a lot of ways, who the hell can? Who else could do something like that? What should we do? Should we just let things be? Should we just let China get away with, what they do, genocides around the world, or should we get involved whenever we hear this like just completely insane injustices going on in the world? Like, I guess China would be the best example. I mean, what they're doing, they're considering it a genocide towards the Uyghurs. What is it that those people that live on the east? They're from like Tibet and all that. From
Yeah.
are the Ungars or Uyghurs? I don't know what the hell that
Yeah.
what
I
they're.
know what you're talking about. I don't know the exact pronunciation.
Yeah, they're basically. It's almost like a genocide. They rounded them all up. They got them in concentration camps. So stuff like that. When stuff like that happens in the world, should America just sit by, or what the hell
Well,
could we do?
when you're depends on who you're dealing with. When you're dealing with someone like China, who's a massive military and nuclear power, your options get a little limited.
Yeah,
But but what you can do with China and stuff like that, and this is so I think America should do what they can about injustice around the world. But you got to remember, we're a country of what 350 million, and the world has what is it 9 billion right now?
It's up there. It might be like around 8 billion.
right? But billion, whatever. So there's so many more people that don't live in the United States. The vast majority don't. So we only have so much you can do. We can't solve every problem everywhere. But with someone like China, you can like anything you do to China is going to hurt you as well. So it's how much are you willing to sacrifice to try to correct what they're doing, and will it work?
Yeah,
Right? So you can put sanctions on China. That would be one thing you could do. Um, but then China's going to sanction you as well, and so the economic um, impact will hurt both of us. And but will it stop it? Right?
yeah,
It probably won't. So you're almost dealing with a situation that you can't do anything about. But other countries, smaller countries that aren't as powerful, you have much more leverage. Even militarily, you could send in uh, military aid and things like that. But once again, do you want to do that? Right? Is it going to solve the problem? Right? You can't. We can't be. It would be hard. It's just really hard to do these things where you're gonna. So, for my opinion, that we pretty much just stay out of stuff. We got enough problems of our own, and worry about what's going on here and maintaining our own house, becoming an example for the world.
yeah, yeah. I was about to say that.
Right? If we're the example, then we let our light shine, and the rest of the world will see that, and a lot of them will take notice and example, and so
So,
you can
so,
you
so
can change
spread
behavior.
spread the message that way by being the example,
Yeah,
and over
I mean, there's
time, yeah,
some things we do have to get involved in if it's an ally, obviously. But if it's not an ally and they're doing something, then um, we're really limited on what we can do other than being the example. Unless I mean, the United States does a lot of stuff,
yeah.
but a lot of
Well,
stuff is shady, right? So
that's
we
what I was
get
about to
involved.
say. That question could be asked like that. What I mean, America's always been the policeman of the
Very,
world.
very good question.
Like we've always gone to wherever there was trouble, any sort of issue, and we've gotten involved in pretty much every major region of the world, and you know, supported one side or another. But I guess the truth is we don't. What we don't know sometimes is that the United States, military has provoked stuff like that, and they've actually created some of this stuff. So
Well, like now we're trying to do the Gaza Israel thing, right? The
yeah,
Palestine.
exactly.
Well, if you look at the history of that, there's been, I think it's 6 different times that people have mediated in the United States in Israel and Palestinian issue. And 6 times the Palestinians turned them all down. And the Palestinians were going to get a lot of stuff out of it, especially one time they offered Palestinians 90% of that land, and Israel was going to get 10%. I believe it was 10%, maybe 20%. Palestinians were going to get the vast majority of that whole area, and they turned it down.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they turned that down. So all these people who are backing the Palestinians having a free state, the Palestinians have turned it down because the Palestinians' goal is to take all of it and genocide on the Jews. Period. They're all dead, or we're not taking it. They don't want just the. They want all the Jews. They're dead, are
Yeah.
gone. They can't be there at all. So it's very. So when the United States tries to get involved in this, well, we're going to go for a two-state. The Palestinians have turned down every two-state solution over the past century, or 70 years, 60, 70 years. There's been
Yeah.
at least 6 or 7 different times that we've negotiated a two-state solution, and they turned down every one of them. And a lot of them were very favorable to the Palestinians, and they still turned them down because it's all or nothing to them.
Yeah.
So we can go and get involved in this, but will it work? That one's never going to work. It's not going
Yeah.
to work. So these countries that we're not allied with, I think leave them alone. If they're doing something, unless it gets so crazy where it's starting a world war, then obviously we have to get involved. But other than that, um, there's not a lot we can do that's going to really work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I like the what you said earlier that we should just be the example. Just
Yeah,
focus on ourselves and be the best country that we can be, and just inspire these these people
right.
and these other countries to try to imitate what we're doing, and maybe spread democracy that way just by being the example. You know.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. So okay, I think we're good with that one. Let me see. So now, this is a little bit more easier, I guess, but maybe not.
Uh,
How do we deal with our children's obsession with the cell phone? More of a national issue.
no, you got kids. What do you think?
Uh, oh man. I guess not to get too personal. I mean, yeah, if it was up to me, like these kids would not have had a phone until they were way older. But my stepdaughter needed a phone early on, so she had it, and so her obsession with it kind of she had to. It grew over time, and then my son, he saw her doing it, and so now he has it. But obviously just limiting it, but the way the cell phone and social media has been like kind of integrated into society. You got these stupid kids just recording the dumbest things, like in public. You got most of them really their whole identity is based on how they present themselves in social media. So you got gangs even being integrated with social media and the cell phone and stuff like that, and people have died over just what they're posting like on just social media. So my approach I've been kind of talking about is that I think like social media, for example, it should be an 18 and over concept. I think kids but under 18, like their brains can't comprehend it, and if they're growing up, they're trying to figure out who they are themselves. If when you
Yeah,
apply something as vain as just taking pictures of yourself and posting it and manipulating that, and now you think that that is your image, when do you really know who you are? You know what I mean? Like a kid never really knows.
Right.
They don't really know their own identity if it's being tainted by all this, all these social media apps and just with the the stuff that can be done with the cell phone. And so I think a lot of, well, if you think about it, the smartphones, the iPhone came out, I think, I want to say around maybe 2008, and after that's when the smartphones really took off. I mean, I know before that there was social media like MySpace and Facebook, but having to have that like finally on your phone 24/7, I would say this whole cell phone and social media thing, it's an experiment that's only about, what is it? We're 2024, so about 16 years. It's only a 16-year experiment. So what do we now have? Like now you see these people in colleges that with stupid ideals, you know what I mean? Like you see now how it's affected their brain. A lot of them just have ideas that don't even make sense. So I mean, so I would say something like that. Basically, we need to limit children's access to social media and just basically, I mean, cell phones. I've heard of safe phones before, where they don't even the phone itself doesn't allow to download of a social media app. But I mean, just the fact that so many kids have it, I know it's going to be a hard thing to do.
Where's the iPad?
Yeah. I mean, I agree
So,
with that. This is
so
the issue I haven't really given a whole lot of thought. I know it's a big problem, though. And
yeah, it's something for sure has to be addressed. I would think for starters, keeping cell phones out of high schools. There's no reason for kids to have them in there. But now you see every other day a video comes out of a bunch of kids recording a fight. I don't know if you saw that one of that girl that this little black girl slammed the hell out of a little girl's head like in the concrete. And I was thinking, this little girl, she was probably like 14, and she started fighting this other girl the same age, and she was bigger than her, but she slammed her down and she got her head and just started slamming it into the concrete, and that girl got like some sort of brain damage now. But so I'm thinking before these fights start, they see other kids with cell phones just recording the damn thing, so it's influencing them in some sort of way. They don't want to look stupid on camera if it's being recorded, so it kind of changes how they act. So it's definitely a big issue that I don't think has gotten enough attention. That we really need to figure out how these phones are affecting our kids and shit, the future of the world. If you think about it, you know what I mean? Like these are people who can grow up, but if they're growing up with the wrong ideas that everything has to be some sort of show, they're gonna grow up sort of, you know, callous or numb to like certain things. So
Oh, and they really are.
yeah.
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying there. Yeah,
So,
I don't know. Yeah, you do. I think for sure. Like if I don't know, I would yeah. Don't let kids get on social media. Period.
yeah,
It's going to do them more harm than good. And like you said, I like the statement that it's an experiment that's only 16 years old,
yeah.
and so we don't have the full picture yet. We have a pretty good picture, but
It's
yeah, it's an
happening right
ongoing
now. I would say it's
experiment.
happening. I mean,
Yeah,
with these
but the
Antifa
cell phone,
kids, you know,
but the cell phones have become like your slave master, and people don't realize it. Like
yeah, yeah,
even for adults, like the government can track everything you do, every conversation you have. It's all being recorded at the NSA. Every message you send,
yeah,
an email, is in a data bank in the NSA. Now they're not looking at everyone, but if you ever do anything and become on their radar, they can
oh,
go to those,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
So and it's got a GPS in it, so it's tracking everywhere you go, everyone you talk to. So it's your own little slave master. And but like it's almost impossible to live without one.
yeah,
So they've created it, so it's really a deeper issue that the government is using can use against you to control you, and
yeah,
they propagandize everything as well on this. They get these media influencers who are on the social media, and the government's paying them to
yeah,
put out certain messages for the government. And this has been proven. There was a model that came out recently. She said that she was approached and offered money to say certain things on social media that were good for Biden.
really,
So you got your government using this as well. So as far as kids go, yeah, I think it's destructive to them, and don't let them have it. Period. Just have that safe phone without where it's just a phone.
yeah. In Florida, Ron DeSantis, he did something kind of along the lines. I remember when I heard it, I was like, hell yeah, like that's what I've been talking about. He forced them to raise I think it's just TikTok though, to raise the age requirement to like 14 or something like that. No, it might have been 16, might have been higher. I'm not sure if it was just TikTok. It was something. So it was something pretty big, but it was just in Florida. So I was just thinking,
Well, you know that on TikTok, all on the user agreement, I haven't read it, but this is what I've heard, and I think it's right. Is because it's a Chinese company, which is controlled by the Chinese government, and on the user agreement, when no one reads them, and then I agree, right? On their user agreement, unlike any others, when in that user agreement, they have full access to all your contacts in your phone, all your messages, and I believe your emails. So they have basically access to all your phone. Um, and you're agreeing to that when you click that agree button. So it's a Chinese spy um, app
well,
that Americans are just willing to agree. And it's funny because my nephew, a few months ago, I was over at my brother's house, and my nephew was showing me. He's like, "Oh, check this out!" And he was on TikTok, and I go, "No, you need to get rid of that. That's Chinese spyware." And he's like, erased it right then. So my nephew's a smart kid,
yeah,
14, and he listened to me, and he immediately deleted it.
no,
But
it's good.
most kids aren't going to do that because, but my nephew, he's very grounded in God. So if you're so he's not just all self-centered, me. He has that, obviously, like everybody, but he
Yeah,
also has the opposite side. If you just have that me vanity thing going,
yeah,
you're not going to get off TikTok. You're still going to agree that I'll let China have all my information because I need this drug.
yeah.
of self gratification.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, well, I mean,
You know, there's another issue I don't think was on your, which kind of relates to this, in the fact of being a slave, and how it's funny because you got a lot of people still talking about slavery. They don't realize you are a slave. Your cell phone is your cage, and I don't think you have this issue on your list, but the issue. Can I bring up another one that I don't think's on there?
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So it's the credit system. Is that on there?
Social credit system?
No, no, credit, money credit.
Oh, money credit? No, I don't think it's on here.
Okay, so this is a huge issue that it's really your other slave master.
Hmm.
And so you got a credit score. You didn't ask for one.
Hmm.
They just give it to you, right? And so when you hear someone's credit score, if it's above average or high, you have automatic opinion of that person that's positive. You judge them based on a credit score.
Hmm.
If they have a below average or low credit score, you have a negative opinion of that person,
Yeah.
right? You don't know what circumstances brought them there, but you judge them. And so the government has got us judging each other based on a number they assign to us.
Yeah.
And now, if you don't play their game, and this is the banks as well, but the banks are controlling the government and the corporations. So the banks and corporations, they say, look, if you don't use credit, then your credit score is going to be below average. You have no negative on there, but it's still below average
Yeah.
because you're a bad person, right? So now you're a slave. Either you give us some money, right? Because if you use credit, you're basically giving them money unless you pay everything on time, which very few people do. So they know people are going to mess up, and that's the whole point. So if you don't start paying some interest payments to these banks, then everyone around you is going to think you're a bad person because we put a number on you,
Yeah.
and it's a bad number. Like, I'll give you an instance. When I bought my car, my last car, I don't use credit,
Hmm.
and so I have no negative credit, nothing bad, nothing on there at all. The only thing I had on there was the car I bought before, which was paid off, which should be positive. My
Yeah.
credit score was below average.
Really?
I have nothing negative on there, and with $10,000 cash down, they wouldn't even sell me a car. And I've had my job for 15 years, and I make plenty of money to make the payments.
Yeah.
No problem there. But they wouldn't even sell it with 10 grand down. And
Wow.
the reason is because, and they told me, well, if you were using some credit, then your credit score would be better. I said, so if I went out and bought a refrigerator and TV or some stuff like that, some appliances on credit, you would sell me the car? They're like, yeah,
So if I put myself more in debt, you'll trust me enough.
right. If you have less ability to pay for stuff, you are a better person.
Wow.
If you have more ability to pay for stuff, you are a worse person, according to the government's way and the bank's way of putting a number on you.
Wow, that's
So
crazy.
these credit scores
Yeah, I never thought
identify
about it like that. Yeah, you're right.
identify the type. Well, you think about it, like, you've heard someone say their credit score before, and you automatically develop an opinion of that person, and whatever opinion you had might change because of that credit score, for good or bad.
Yeah.
It's going to affect your opinion of them as a person. It has nothing to do with what kind of person they are. It just has to do with the circumstances they happen to be living in. Sometimes, and don't get me wrong, the majority of people who have bad credit scores weren't living responsibly, but some people just got in bad circumstances, and so that's fair. But that still isn't who they are. It doesn't
Yeah.
tell you anything about their character, really. It just tells you about whether they're playing the game right or not. And the game is designed to for you to lose. And several years ago, when I looked at it, it's probably a little higher now, but the number was $4,000. If you were $4,000 in credit debt, you would never get out of that the rest of your life. So they put you as a slave to the banks for the rest of your life by just getting you into a little bit of debt.
Oh. Oh,
You'll never pay that off for the rest of your life.
that's
And so
crazy.
now you're making payments to them for nothing for the rest of your life. And but because you're doing that, you're a good person. Here's a good number for you, right?
Yeah.
You're a good little slave.
Yeah. I guess I never thought about it like that. So yeah, you're right. I mean,
So the system with the cell phones, they track you, and the credit score dictates what society thinks of you. And this is the government and the banks and corporations' way, the rich and powerful's way of controlling people and monitoring them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good one too. So I mean, what the hell could be done about that? Yeah, just people need to just live within their means, figure that out. But I mean, shit, it's so integrated into society now. That's a tough one.
Well, like I said, they made it harder. Like, so the car I bought before this car, I went in, I gave them $1,000 down, had, I don't know, 5 years on the job, was making less money, and had some bad credit. And they sold it to me no problem for a
Oh yeah,
thousand down.
wow,
Then I go to buy the next car, 10,000 down, no bad credit, not going to do it.
that's crazy.
So eventually I did get it, but I had to go to a different car dealership, a
Really?
different company,
Oh
and I
yeah.
got it. But yeah, I had to put way more money down, and even they were reluctant to do it. And the funny thing is, I paid it off in a year and a half. Or when I bought some dirt bikes for me and my nephews,
Yeah.
and I paid cash, our cashier's check
Yeah.
in full, and the guy was begging me to make payments.
Really?
No, he was,
That's
because
funny.
he's told to do that because they make more money off of you if you make payments than if you pay cash.
Oh
They
yeah.
don't want the money up front. They want that long. They want you in that system for the rest of your life.
The name of the game is interest. That's what they want.
Right? We're going to track everywhere you go, everything you do with your cell phone, and then we're going to control you with your credit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
crazy.
so slavery still exists. It's just um, people
St-
don't see it.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that makes sense, man. I mean, yeah, I've never thought about it like that, so it makes sense. Yeah, they did in order
And
to.
it's what color you are, or what religion you are, or what gender you are, or what sort of orientation sexually you are. Everybody's in this one. Everybody's a slave to the credit system.
Yeah.
I'm not, but in a way, I kind of still am, because if I ever go to buy anything else, if I don't have the cash down, and they might not even in the future sell it to me with just the full amount. They
if
might be
you,
going to do it. You have
you,
to make payments. They might get to that. I wouldn't even be surprised. But right now, I think you still can. But you can see my point.
yeah, that'd be crazy. Well, yeah, that's good. That should be on this list for sure. If we do anything with this, I'll make sure to add that one. But that's a good one. Okay, so I mean, yeah, those are good points. And then as far as kids, I think we both made some good points. Let's move on to the next one. Let's just see how far we could go.
All right.
Oh shit.
Ah,
I don't know. I don't know if this one was too, too,
I like that
too,
one.
too on point. But what the? Well, I mean, I guess this falls back into the cell phone thing. You know what I mean? Like, where the hell are these kids getting influenced to the point where the entertainment industry? Yeah, they definitely got an obsession with Satan. Like, that's no, they're not even hiding that anymore. Every damn music award show has it. All the music videos, they do
Yep.
it at their concerts.
Called
Yeah, man,
making a
they
deal
just
with the devil.
yeah. For fuck. So I mean, I don't know. I guess it kind of fits back into the cell phone thing. I guess it's the same thing. It's just they know that they have these kids trapped on these phones, and if all they're doing is watching that, all they got to do now is just start pushing these stupid satanic ideals in there and just mess their heads up a lot more. Just destabilize them as much as they can. So I guess this question might tie back into the cell phone thing. I guess that would be the solution to start there, because it's it's propaganda basically. So it's used, the cell phone's
It's
just a
probably
propaganda
the
machine, and
spiritual world of evil.
yeah, yeah,
And the thing about Satan is like Satan will give you what you want. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's and it feels good for a while,
yeah,
but then the fun runs out and you're over it.
yeah.
Then you're left completely empty. And
Yeah,
that's the beauty of God is you're filled up. He's not going to give you fame and fortune and riches. He might, but God knows what's best for you and what you can handle and what you can't. And so a lot of people can't handle that sort of stuff, so He doesn't do it because it's not what's best for you. But that feeling you have with God stays with you. You're filled up with peace. With
Yeah.
Satan, he'll fill you up with all kinds of money and uh, women and whatever, fame, for a lot of people. And that's why they push it, is because they're getting what they want, and they know deep down where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not out there doing um, award shows promoting God, because Satan's giving them all the material things that they think that they want and they need to be happy. But at the end of the night, they're not happy and they're left empty
Yeah.
because their life really doesn't have any meaning. So what you can do about that, I mean, if you're going to do something about Satan in the entertainment industry, it's kind of like doing something about Satan in the world. Is you just talk to people about God. And
Yeah.
I could say from personal experience, like, like in the Bible, it says God will come to you and give you rest when you are at your weakest. And I can testify this is absolutely true. It happened to me, and I recognized it and thankful for it. And I wouldn't trade that for $1 billion, because that's everlasting.
Yeah.
So, you know, people who've had experiences like that, and are people who, some people haven't had those experiences, but they were just able to read the Bible and realize its validity. Just talking about that, testifying about that,
Yeah.
you never know the impact you're having on people. It's kind of like the United States being an example for the world for democracy. It's the same thing. Even in the Bible, it says, let your light shine on a hill. He's like, let your light shine. You don't put a cover over a lantern. You let your light shine. You don't have to really go do a whole lot with people. You just set the example of that light. Satan is darkness, God is light. So if you're in God, you're filled with light, and you're going to behave in a way that people are going to be like, wait, what's going on here? Right? You
Yeah.
have that sense of peace and joy in your life. And it's not like your life's going to be completely like that. But when you're with Satan, then your life is dark, and people are going to be like, but at the same time, you're getting riches and stuff. So they're, in this materialistic world, they get pulled into that because they want that too. So it's a very tough tug of war between God and Satan. And, it's Satan has a lot of power, and it's evident in this world. So I would say just be the example of a godly example, and set the example in a personal way, same as we set the example in a national way for the rest of the world. And
Yeah.
that's the best way to change people's hearts and minds, is by being the example. When they see you can be happy with very little, you don't need anything really, but you could be working paycheck to paycheck, and you're still a happy guy all the time, and you're almost always full of light and joy and happiness and contentment. They're going to, how's he doing that, man? This, like, I work the same job as him, and this sucks, man. I don't
Yeah.
have the new house I wanted. I can't buy the pool. I can't pay for my kids' college. I mean, this is just all going wrong.
Yeah.
How come we're making the same money, but he's, you know what I mean? And so that becomes an example, and then they want to know, and they'll come to you and ask you, and you explain this to them, and then if they are engaged in that and accept it, and they move that way, they're going to get the Holy Spirit, and they're going to feel it, and they're going to know what you're talking about. So this is really a issue of spirituality
Yeah.
and God and Satan. So there's no way around that one. If you want to get Satan out of the music industry, you have to set the example by showing people that you have God, and God gives you peace and rest in a troubled world. What Even when it's difficult for you and there's trouble all around, and you're still good.
Yeah.
These rich people, they're still not happy,
Yeah.
but they got Satan. So they're not going to have that rest and that peace, that sense of contentment.
So,
So
so to me, I
yeah, so
just
I had to
wonder.
get on religious stuff there because this is the only way to go with that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I just don't get what the hell the goal could be, and like why push that, unless it's just to make future generations miserable. Just basically make them as miserable as they probably feel, and just
No, it's not
pollute
that.
their minds with just all this
Well,
negativity.
it is that, but I don't think they realize it, right? Because they're being, because, okay, so you're going to be influenced either by God or by Satan in life, right?
Mm,
And if you reject God, then you open yourself up to Satan. And if Satan's is influencing you, he, and you really go there, he's going to give you a lot of stuff to make you think you're happy and all the things you think you want that'll make you happy, but it won't. And then the other people are going to see this stuff and they're going to think, yeah, that's what I want because that's what they have and they're on TV and they're pretending to be happy. But it's kind of like Facebook or whatever. Everyone just shows the happy side of life. They don't show the hardship, right? So you don't see these celebrities behind closed doors because I can guarantee you they are not happy with Satan,
yeah,
right? They are for a little while. It's going to feel good for a little while, but then it becomes empty.
this could be a price to pay for sure.
So yeah, so other people are going to be influenced by it, but they're not going, you know what, I want to drag everybody down. They are, but they don't realize that that's what they're doing. That's Satan influencing them because they've given themselves to Satan to get what they wanted. They got what they wanted. Now Satan wants what he wants. And now he's
Yeah,
going to influence them into doing his work. And his work is bringing more people to Satan. And
yeah,
so he's going to prompt them to do these sorts of shows and things like that that are satanic, and the people who look up to him are going to go, well, that must be the way to go, right?
yeah.
And I think that's what's going on there.
Well, yeah. I mean, so I guess it kind of applies to the other some of the solutions for the other questions is just trying to be an example and just spread the message. Trying to get
Yeah,
these kids, and then applies to the previous question. Yeah, just trying to get these kids off of cell phones, or at least to know their way around. You know, what I mean, social media, and make them aware of these types of influences, and just educate people. And
yeah,
so I guess,
exactly.
yeah, I think it's a broad ass question, I guess, but all right, Dan. So we're actually at we only got less than 3 minutes, bro. I don't think we could. How can we pay off our national debt and reverse inflation? Man, that's a good one. We'll just save that one for next time, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. But
Yeah,
all right, so I guess for today, yeah, we did 5 questions. That's pretty
yeah,
good.
cool.
I think, yeah, I think that's good for today, bro.
All right.
Uh, so then from here on till next week, we'll just see what the topic's gonna be. We'll just talk about it later. Yeah,
All right.
that
Sounds
works.
good. Yep.
All right, then, my brother. So then, okay, yeah, we're a little under 2 minutes, so we could just end it right here, my bro.
All right.
So another good one, Dan. Good stuff,
Yep.
bro.
Yep. Same to you.
And we'll talk later, my brother.
Sounds good, brother. Take care.
Cool. All right.
All right.